Good evening, everybody. Dan Bornt here. Figured I'd do a quick little video here. First of all, I'd like to do a shout out to a few people that have helped me out over the last couple of weeks trying to deal with an OBS issue. I was having an issue with recording. My OBS would crash. As you can see from my Neofitch here, right now I'm on ArcoLinux. If you watch my video from a few days ago, I was on MX19. Part of my issue was that here's my CPU, GPU. So my GPU is a 580. I think it might be the 580X. But I'm on a Ryzen 7 2700. And the problem I was having is a problem that I guess a bunch of people are having on different distributions, where when I try to record anything at 1080p, 60 frames per second, I'd get the memory overflow error and OBS would just crash. So I went to the Biddle group, and Chicken helped me out a lot with trying to get so that I could use hardware encoding on my AMD processor using VAAPI, which did work, but we also determined from him doing some Googling that you still can't do it at 60 frames per second, right? It would only do it at like 30 frames per second. Otherwise, it would crash. So I was doing that for a little bit, and then I figured I'd reach out to Ryan Das Geek. So I reached out to Ryan and asked him about it, because he's a hardware guy. Love watching his hardware stuff, and I know he's a really big hardware guy. So I asked him about it. Now, he didn't run into the same issue at the time that I had asked him, but he knew that Michael Tennell, Tux Digital, had a very similar issue. So through Ryan, I got the link to an app image for OBS's app image that I guess took care of all this. And it did. So I had downloaded that on MX and was running that. And I had chatted back and forth with Michael Tennell a little bit too in Telegram. So I just want a big shout out. The links to their channels are going to be below in the description, to Chicken and to Das Geek and to Tux Digital for their help. Again, this is one of the real things that I really love about Linux in general. I love the technology. The technology is cool. The open source and stuff, it is cool. The choice is cool, but it's really the people. I jump into the Biddle group whenever I get a chance to do that. Big Daddy Linux Live, and Rocco says it best. Is like the best thing. He says it on his spotlight all the time. The best thing about Linux is the community, and those three guys are just, three amongst many that are just great guys to be able to talk to and get great advice from. And I hope to be able to pay it forward and pay it back at some point. I appreciate all of their just taking the time to answer my questions. It goes a long way. And I've been using Linux off and on for many years now. I still feel like a noob when it comes to a lot of it, because I haven't been using it consistently long enough to really dig into it. I know some things, I don't know other things, so it's great to have that. It's great to be in touch with a group or a community of people that has that knowledge and is so willingly free and willing to share that information, right? So thank you guys. Can't thank you guys enough. But if you'll notice now, like I said before, MX is a great distro, but I kind of use this OBS issue as a catalyst to do something that I wanted to do before. And I've been nervous about trying Arch, because I ran Arch in the past a bunch of years ago. And due to my own shortcomings with Arch, not updating the packages frequently enough and letting updates get way too out of date, I hosed one of my systems a long time ago, and it kind of left me a little timid about trying Arch. And I really haven't I want to do the arch the right way, but I haven't had the time commitment to do it yet, and I really wanted an environment that was kind of out of the box, ready to go, that I could tinker with, get it set up, get it ready to go, have it working, but still have it be Arch. Learn how Arch works, and then at some point in the future, hopefully, redo all of this. The archway, right? The archway, and do it from scratch. So what I landed on was ArcoLinux, and I've been watching the ArcoLinux channel for a while. Eric Dubois does some great work. I've seen, DistroTube. Derek from DistroTube has done a number of reviews on Arco over the years, and so has a bunch of the other guys that do distro reviews. And I love the premise of Arco Linux. Like, I love the premise that you can download ArcoLinux, which comes with, your primary environment is what we have here, which is XFC and OpenBox. And i3, those are your 3 desktops that you get. So right here I'm doing, this is the XFC version. I haven't played around with the i3 version yet. But my window manager is XFCE. My D is XFCE in this one. There's my window manager, my theme. This is what I got going on here. And when I installed it, I ticked a lot of boxes to install a bunch of software. Now, normally I don't do that, but I really wanted to see what kind of software was available if I ticked a whole bunch of the boxes in the install process. And I'm going to run through the install process in another video in a virtual machine, only because I've already done some tweaking on this thing. So these bars here, these panels for XFCE are not what is installed by default. I changed this. This was a horizontal layout. I changed it to a vertical layout. I switched some things around. I got rid of the words on here. I changed up the how the workspaces display. So I'm going to flip through these really quick. So this is workspace 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I switched to this. This is basically just your underscores, right? So I basically did, and I can show all this. Matter of fact, let me just show it now. So how I got this to work is I basically did panel preferences, appearance. If I go into the workspace switcher, and I go to workspace settings, I use the pipe. So 1 pipe is 1, 2 pipes is 2, 3 pipes is 3, and 4 pipes is 4. And when you switch it from horizontal to vertical, it actually switches the layout of the pipes. So it's actually showing them as horizontal bars instead of vertical bars. So this gives me this cool little appearance of 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then it's going up and down here. And then I've got my notification tray up here with, my up-to-date system stuff. OBS is up here running. I've got the clipboard's up here. This is my, this comes installed by default, which is really cool. It's the, what's this called? It's Variety. So it's an automatic wallpaper changer, downloader, and manager. This is actually pretty cool. I haven't played around with this a lot, but it's pretty cool. So what you could do is you could say next, and it'll shift your desktop to the next desktop. It's pretty cool. And there's other preferences in here. Like you can set it to change every 5 minutes. There's a lot going on in here that I haven't really gotten in here. You can do some effects on the stuff, colors and sizes. You can customize it a little bit. I'll get into a little bit of that at some point. Then, obviously my network stuff, packages, and then this is a Pulse Audio controller. So what's nice about this is I can control volume on my speakers and my mic, but I can also switch the audio, the mic input if I want, which is kind of cool. Get to my mixer. So I like that. And I have that going horizontal up here. So anyway, I've done a little bit of customization on this thing. again, I went with Arch because I went with Arco because I really like the philosophy behind Arco. One of the really cool things that I like about Arco is out of the box, I didn't have to configure this at all. Even in XFCE, D menu is present, which I really got accustomed and really liked in i3. So if I do Shift Super D, you can see I've got D menu up at the top now, right? So now if I want to run Firefox, I could just do Firefox and boom. There we go. There's Firefox. So I really like that feature. So had a lot of fun with that. So you could see my MX video was a week ago, and I've already jumped. I did a video on testing my OBS recording with Vappy, and then I did some tinkering around with VirtualBox, KVM, QEMU, virtual machines. That was a week ago. And now I'm on ArcoLinux, which I really like. And the beauty about ArcoLinux is, if I could spell, oh man, is there's these different paths you can take. So phase one is basically just, so they've got these choose your project. Phase one, which is where I am, is ArcoLinux ISO provides 3 desktops and 1 installation, XFCE, OpenBox, and i3. All the software you need is already installed. You download the ISO. When you go through it, you check some boxes, and then you're on your way. Phase 2 is learn to install XFCE, OpenBox, or i3 on the ISO of ArcoLinux D, right? So you can install one of the 3. Phase 3 is to try a different desktop. So basically what you're doing is you're downloading ArcoLinux D, and then you're installing one of the other desktops. And they've got, Awesome, BSPWM, Budgie, Cinnamon, GNOME, Mate, blah, blah, blah. Right? There's a lot of desktops here. Deepin's on here, Herbstluf, LXQT, Plasma. You can even do Plasma. You can do Qtile. You can do Xmonad. Phase 4 is to build your own ISO. So you basically, you can build the ISO yourself, or you can just download the ArcoLinux B ISO. And then obviously the last phase is to install ArcoLinux the old way, or the Arch way. And then they're also doing this thing where they're going to start where they're going to document how to build an ISO based on Arch 64 bits from scratch. So that's cool. And it really's, the thought here is it's really going to get you into the guts of like a Linux distribution, right? So I'm all the way up here at phase 1, still playing around with these 3 environments. Right now I've only played around with XFCE a little bit. I'll probably be doing more in-depth video on the XFCE stuff. And then at some point I will definitely do OpenBox and i3. They have this new tweak tool, which is really cool. So if I go into here and I look for tweak, should be installed by default. I don't know what they call it. Let's see. ArcoLinux tweak tool. It's probably under... Maybe I didn't install it on this thing. That might have been one of the check boxes. I'll have to figure out how to get that, because it looks really cool based on this. But obviously you've got, all your settings in here. A lot of different stuff. Oh, Grub Customizer. So they have it kind of embedded, right? So the grub customizer is pretty cool. So this is where you can tweak all your settings, right? It's pretty cool. Like you can do a lot of things. I like the fact that it's got a built-in grub customizer. I actually use this because on my system, I have to set all of my boot. I have to put a kernel parameter in there for IOMMU equals soft. Otherwise, it chokes all of my bootable USBs on boot. So I'm able to do it when I actually boot from the USB because I can just either hit E for edit or tab or whatever gets you in to edit that line, and I can do it that way. But this allows me, once I get the system up and running, I can just come into the grub customizer and I can actually get into this thing, and this gives me my list. So you could see I've actually modified my grub config so it keeps the old ones, but then if I go to one, right, and I hit edit, you could see where I put in down here, I was able to add it right in. So, and then it just rebuilds the grub for you out of this. So it's a really cool tool. It's got Conky. Anyway, I'm not going to do a whole thing on this right now. But that's where I am right now. So I'm on ArcoLinux. I'm liking it a lot. I'm going to do a more full in-depth use of this flow soon. But again, I wanted to make a big shout out to those guys that have helped me out, and everybody's helped me out in the community. Over the last few months and years since, well, let's see, I've been getting on Big Daddy Linux for a while now. But anyway, anybody who's ever helped me out, the Linux community is not what people think it is. Like some people who haven't been exposed to it or have only been exposed to the, the negative side of it. There's just such a great community of people out there that I think we're at a place now where the positive greatly outweighs the negative, and you just got to be plugged into the right thing. So Big Daddy Linux is a great place to start. So I'll stick some links below for the channels, that I've been looking at, guys that I mentioned today. And, I hope people enjoy this. This is just a little quick, Linux rambling, I guess. If you like my videos, if you like anything you've seen, please subscribe and go ahead and like and rate and comment and all that good jazz. Any feedback is welcome, so give it to me. Give it to me straight, and yeah, that's all I got for tonight, and I hope everybody has a great night.